BP's biggest priority is safety, risk management, and compliance. And we're going through some pretty massive transformation how we manage the business. It impacts from the beginning up front around planning our work, designing our jobs, understanding what we require from our contractors. It requires that we qualify our contractors and assure that we have the most safe suppliers working for us. It assures that we work with those qualified suppliers and clarify our requirements and expectations from them. It also requires them to work within the new processes. It requires them to bring their A teams forward as well as to comply with all of our standards and protocols. So BP is implementing standard processes and tools as to how business is conducted. It starts with activity planning, defining the scope of work and job planning. Then it moves into having purchase orders in place to bring complete transparency and clarity to the suppliers as to what is the job scope and what is expected. It also includes having a clear mechanism to receive the goods or receive the services in the field, the services that are provided. It also ensures that we have a very easy, simple way of matching invoices against our contract rates and the receipt of services or goods. So that's kind of the standard process we are putting in place, and it's absolutely critical because once it's implemented, the suppliers, whether you're working with us in the Wamsutter Basin or you're working in East Texas or San Juan, you will expect to deal with BP the same standard way. This requires a pretty massive change for the suppliers. Many of our suppliers today work with us through the sourcing process. They get selected, they negotiate a contract with us, and we put in place a formal contract. And then they generally get a verbal call-off from somebody in the line, somebody in operations, somebody in a technical function, somebody in the wells organization. They call them, they schedule the work, and they come and do the job for us. The biggest change here they will get from us is there will be no more verbal call-offs, even against existing contracts. They will get a formal purchase order which will define the scope and the expectations from the contractors. That is a pretty big change. That also requires that we are able to plan the work better and set those expectations with the contractors. There are many things that suppliers do today will absolutely not change. Their focus on having the right capable workforce, their training of their workforce, ensuring that their kit, their tools meet the standards and the requirements, assure that the tools, the kit, the equipment are maintained properly, assure that they come to our work sites and know our work site practices, assure that they understand our control of work rules, assure that how they need to operate on our BP sites. All those things need to stay the same. They have to continue to work in a safe fashion, meeting all the rules and the standards and comply with those standards. So none of those things change. How they perform the work does not change. It's absolutely critical that our suppliers and contractors understand the change that's happening in BP. A much more and robust focus on safety, risk management, reliability, and compliance. Our new processes do require some behavior changes and culture changes in BP. How we plan the work, how we award the business, how we call off the jobs, how do we manage the jobs. It is a massive change within BP. Many of our suppliers have to go through similar changes within their own processes and their own cultures as well. All suppliers who deal with BP, who receive a PO, whether they get it through an electronic format or a fax or a paper PO, they would get a better definition of scope from us. It would confirm what is their commitment to BP. In many cases, we have master service agreements with the price list established in our contracts, but In all cases, we don't buy every single thing in the contract on every single job. So the purchase order becomes very critical because it very clearly defines the work that needs to be done, and that's the mechanism where the suppliers commit to BP that here's the work that I'm going to do for you with these resources and these materials and tools. So it's very critical, however you get the PO from BP, it's critical that the PO becomes the mechanism how you receive the job order and perform the job. So another big benefit of these processes is that it will enable BP and NAG to better honor our payment terms. With the new processes, the invoice approval should be much quicker, should be much more electronically driven, and will allow us that we honor and pay within the payment terms. Coming from outside BP and outside the oil and gas industry, I have seen what good looks like. I have seen what rigorous processes, upfront planning, clearly defining scopes of work, having rigorous engagement with suppliers, having qualified approved suppliers in your business, what it can deliver for you in terms of safety, risk management, and compliance. So I've seen what good looks like, and I see that as a gap in NAG and in BP. And I'm really excited about it because I know this will bring that rigor and bring that best practice to BP and to NAG. It's going to be a challenging journey for us. It requires a lot of heavy lifting up front, but actually it will deliver huge benefits to the company.